Hello everybody and welcome back to another mini review, and this time we're going to be looking at Metroid Prime Remastered. Yes, I know I'm incredibly late on it, but better late than never, I suppose. So this was announced during Nintendo's February 2023 Direct, and it just kinda came out of nowhere. There was absolutely no fanfare or setup or anything like that. It was just, right, here's Metroid Prime Remastered for the Switch, and we're just like, what? And I was just absolutely excited out of my seat. We were finally getting some more Metroid, and also Metroid Prime was just coming out of the GameCube and onto more modern platforms at long last. So far we haven't had Metroid Prime 2 and 3 announced as of yet, but I'm sure those are gonna follow suit just to hype us up for Metroid Prime 4. And on top of Metroid Dread and Samus Returns, it's really good to see that Metroid is getting the attention it deserves again after such a long hiatus. But what exactly does the remaster version of Metroid Prime 1 introduce that you couldn't get in the GameCube original? Let's have a look. So one of the key differences is that the graphics have been completely redone from the get-go. Even though the GameCube original still looks fantastic today, they really outdid themselves with the remaster. The colors are a little more vibrant, and obviously the resolution has vastly increased too. It's a really great looking game and gives you that sort of nostalgic GameCube feel to it, if you get what I mean. The other major difference is that there's also different controller setups, and it's made sure to cater to each player. So you could go with the classic GameCube setup, or you could alternatively use the Wii pointer controls from Metroid Prime 3 and Trilogy. Or if you want to go more modern, there is a twin stick setup where the left stick moves Samus and the right stick moves the camera, while shooting can be done by pressing the right trigger if the A button on the Switch's Pro Controller is too small for you. Every one of the controls works about as well as it should do, although I did find the pointer controls slightly annoying to deal with because of how frequently you needed to adjust the pointer, sorta similar to Pikmin 3 Deluxe, which I don't remember the third Prime game or the Prime Trilogy being that much of an issue. But what I am sure of is that, at least for me in my big hands, it doesn't feel 100% comfortable to shoot with the A button again when the Wiimote's A button was a bit larger. That's where the right trigger comes in handy, but I personally find the dual stick setup to be the best anyway. It just feels right for Switch controllers, and yes, I should say with the original controls you can use a GameCube controller if you have the adapter for it, though unfortunately since pausing the game is now on select and bringing out the map is on the start button, and with the GameCube controller only having a start button, you may need to remap the buttons on the Switch settings to make it more authentic. I can only hope that a patch does get put in at some point, but seeing as how it's been a good few months since its release, I doubt it's going to happen anytime soon. One other minor issue I had with the controls was that I wasn't too crazy about the default missile button, which is the R bumper, but thankfully you can swap it to the Switch's X button to make it feel a little more like the GameCube original, so that's not too bad. As for the gameplay itself, it's the first Metroid Prime game, and it's just as amazing now as it was back in 2002. The exploration is out of this world, both figuratively and literally, and this remaster only makes it even better with the updated controls and graphics. Honestly, a lot of my thoughts from my original Metroid Prime videos still hold true today as I replay this game after a long while, though there were a couple of things that I don't think I went into that much detail about. Firstly, the phase on mines was probably the weak point for me in terms of areas you investigate, and also the space pirate base in Phendrana. Basically anywhere that has space pirates in it, because that's where the game gets a little more combat heavy. And while the combat controls are perfectly okay in Metroid Prime, they're not good enough for straight up war zones like you'd see out of Halo or Call of Duty. It's less of a problem with the Phendrana drifts, but the phase on mines is chock full of those segments, and backtracking through them is not all that fun. It's a bit better during the boss fights, and those can be enjoyable in their own way, but I don't remember a number of them taking so long to kill. I mean, it's rough already when you gotta figure out how to expose the boss's weaknesses, but to have them be spongy as hell too is kinda overkill. The Omega Pirate in the phase on mines was the absolute worst about this, since he additionally disappears so frequently, dragging the fight out even longer than necessary. Yeah, as you can tell, I wasn't a fan of the phase on mines as a whole. Even the Chozo ghosts weren't as tedious to fight as this. And then there's the hunt for the Chozo artifacts near the end of the game, which, sadly for as many add-ons as this remaster has, it's still the worst part. On top of requiring an absolutely gargantuan amount of backtracking to begin with, a huge problem with the original was that a few of the artifacts, even after scanning hints, were very difficult to find without a guide. And this would have been the perfect opportunity to fix that issue, but unfortunately they don't. Those artifacts are just as cryptic to find as they were before, and that's sad for me to say. Why would you ever think to blast open a random frozen window with your plasma beam and shoot a missile at this faraway tower you can't lock onto in order to get one of the artifacts? It makes no sense within the realm of this game. But despite all that, it's still Metroid Prime at its core, and if you enjoyed it back in the GameCube days, you're definitely going to enjoy the remaster just as much, if not more so because of the quality of life improvements. Right now, as I mentioned earlier, it's unclear as to whether or not Prime 2 or 3 are going to get remastered as well, just to get us excited for Prime 4 whenever that releases, maybe in the year 2080 or something, but I'm pretty sure they'll get the same treatment too. But if you haven't played the first Metroid Prime game yet, or even if you're just getting into the series for the first time, now's the perfect opportunity to try it out. It's not as pricey as most first-party Nintendo games either, and this really is Metroid at one of its finest. So pick it up when you can and encourage Nintendo that fans like me still want more Metroid. With that said, thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you all have a good day, and I will see you all later for the Fire Emblem Three Houses video when that eventually releases. Take care, everybody.